there, this is the Module 6 introduction video. So in this module, we're going to actually start working with data. Previously in the course, we talked about where does data come from, what are good data sources, and this is a really important part of data analysis because if we don't have good data to start with, then we know no matter what we do with it, we're not going to be able to make good conclusions. So now we're to the part where we're actually going to start analyzing data. And for this course and for your reports, you're going to be analyzing data from the BRFSS in the year 2018 and then for the state that you were assigned. I am going to provide the full BRFSS data set for you. Please do not download it from the website. There will be a CSV on Canvas for you with the data. And in Module 6.3, we'll talk about how you take that full data set and you make a smaller data set that just contains the data for your state. So like I said, we're going to start analyzing data. And when you first start analyzing data, the first thing we do is usually what you call exploratory analysis. And exploratory analysis is where you go through and you make numeric summaries of the variables, you make plots of the variables, and basically you're summarizing what is happening. Now, in order to do this, what summaries are appropriate is going to depend on the type of data that you're summarizing. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn about some different data types, and we're going to start with what's called categorical data. So in this module, we're going to look at how do we summarize categorical variables. And you'll look at making tables and various types of plots and what information to include in those plots and in those tables. And so module 6.1 and 6.2 are primarily going to be focused on the concepts of what are the appropriate ways to summarize these variables. Whereas 6.3, that's when you're going to say for the BRFSS, how do you actually use SAS or R, remember the choice is up to you, to create those plots and to create those summaries. So I want to take just a moment and talk a little bit about that 6.3. So within your groups, what is going to happen is the work that you do this week will be done individually. And so the idea will be that each person in the group individually is going to look at the BRFSS data, and you're individually going to find variables that you think are related to your research topic. And the benefit to this is in 3-4 weeks, when you all get back together to work as a group, what you're going to be able to bring forward will be this big pool of different plots and different summaries that everybody has constructed, and you'll be able to pull out the best ones and you'll be able to talk through them to include in your report. So this week's work, even though the end goal is to work through that group project, this module you will be working individually. So everybody's going to turn in individual work. You really don't even need to communicate with your group members to see what variables they're summarizing. I anticipate that everybody's pretty much going to summarize different variables. There will be some overlap, and that's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. But this week is going to be, again, completed individually, with the goal being that everybody is building up these summaries so that when you do get to the next the next step that is group work, everybody's going to have something to bring to the table. One of the things that I really want to stress in this module is you're going to get your first set of a little bit more complicated R and SAS code. Your goal is to know what variable you want to summarize and how you want to summarize it. Now, I've given you code, and what I did in the code is I create different summaries using data from the state of Kentucky. None of the groups have Kentucky data, so you'll pretty much be able to mimic what I've done. And I talk about in the videos, you'll pretty much just change the name of the data set, the name of the variable you're interested in, and make some other minor changes. But you're bound to need to troubleshoot your code. I mean, it's inevitable that something's not going to run and you're going to have some struggles. And if that happens, feel free to email me your code. This is not a coding class. I anticipate for you to have trouble with your code, and so I'm more than happy to help with it. But you will need to email me the code and let me know exactly what it is you're trying to do if I'm going to help with it. And then as always, I'll have office hours that you can always pop in and we can look at things together. But I don't want you to spend hours, struggling with the code, because that's not really the purpose of this course. The purpose of the course is more for you to struggle with what variable you want to summarize and what is the appropriate way to summarize those variables. So that's a little bit about this module. So again, individual work this week, you're working towards learning the content, applying it to the BRFSS data, so that way, again, when you get to group work later on, everybody's going to have something that they can present and you all can put that together for your report. So as always, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have, and I hope that you have a wonderful week.